Hello, now it's time for the Greek of Acts 17, 1 through 9. I've already done a podcast getting into some interpretive things, and now we want to look at the Greek of these 9 verses. So, Paul is on his second missionary journey of Acts with Paul and Silas and Timothy and Titus, and Luke is, they left Luke behind at Philippi. I forgot to mention that in the podcast. We've gone back to they. You can see the Aelphon, they came. And so apparently Luke has stayed in Philippi. And he will stay there until Paul is at the end of his third missionary journey, perhaps around 57 or 58. So if this is about 50, 50, so that's about 7 or 8 years that Luke or whoever the author of Acts is in Philippi. Well, okay. So having gone through. So sigma alpha, aorist, ont, participle, active, s, nominative, masculine, plural. So having gone through dio, duo, a word I don't know, but I guess that's what it is, and having gone through the Amphipolis and the Apollonia, so these are 2 cities on the Ignatian Way, they came, what tense is aelth, aorist of Vercamai, into Thessaloniki, today, Thessalonica, where was a synagogue of the Jews. This wasn't said about Philippi, so maybe there wasn't a synagogue, or at least not one allowed at that time. 2, and according to the custom to Paul, he entered into them, to the synagogue. This is again, elf, what tense? Aorist, and en, third person singular active indicative of a past tense, ace erchomai. He went into them, and on Sabbaths, three Sabbaths, he dialogued with them. This kind of looks like dialego. He dialogued with them. C is the key to a hidden sigma. So we have a hidden sigma alpha, which tells me it's aorist. Amen, eta. Those are passive endings or middles. So let's go with aorist middle, because it'd have a theta eta if it was aorist passive. Aorist middle indicative third singular from dialego. He dialogued with them from the scriptures, verse 3. Opening, sianoigo, opening and putting before that it was necessary, imperfect tense, for the Christ to suffer and to rise from the dead. Okay, dianoigon, this is just a present active participle, nominative, masculine, singular. The t is there of paratithemi, so again, a present middle, because men are passive or middle participle. This is imperfect, I mentioned, infinitive. This is an aorist infinitive because of the path. It's from pasco, it's irregular. And this is anistemi, again, I believe this is aorist. And that this one is the Christ, namely Jesus, whom I am proclaiming to you. Okay, verse 4, and certain from them were persuaded. Theta eta, aorist passive. Son is third person plural. This is from patho. They were persuaded, it's aorist passive. And they're again, theson, theta eta is aorist, son is third person singular. So it's aorist, passive, indicative, third plural, not singular, from prosklerao. They cast their lot with them, which figuratively, and Paul and Silas. And of the worshiping Greeks, present, say beomai, its opponent, from the worshiping Greeks, a great multitude, both of women, of women, of the chief women, not a few. Okay, sorry, I translated that wrong in the podcast, I think. It's not a both and, it's just an and. No, it is a both and. Right. Both of the worshiping Greeks, a great multitude, and of the chief women, not a few. Great. Verse 5. And the Jews, having become jealous, aorist active participle, not masculine plural, and having taken certain evil men of the hangers at the agora, And having made a crowd, an aklos, having a sigma alpha, aorist, active participle, nominative masculine plural, they, what is it this? They roused the city up. This is thorabao, so I guess this is imperfect, isn't it? They were rousing up the city. And having opposed or having assailed the house of Jason, this is the aorist of ephistemi, I believe. They were seeking, imperfect, them to lead out into the people, the demos. Agagagagag is aorist, so this is an aorist active infinitive. Verse 6, and not having found, this is the aorist of heurisco. The sco isn't there, which tells me it's not present. It must be aorist. May is the not used generally with participles and infinitives most of the time. So aorist active participle, nominative masculine plural. Not having found them, they dragged Jason, suro. This is probably imperfect. I'm guessing, could be aorist, but it doesn't have the alpha, so I'm guessing it's imperfect. They were dragging Jason and certain brothers unto the politarchs, the leaders of the city. He talked about that in the podcast. Crying, present active participle, that the troubling the world, the stirring up the world, these ones also here are present. So it's the hoi goes with anastatosantes, sigma alpha is aorist, active participle, nominative masculine plural. Anastatao, I assume, something like that. The ones troubling the world, the oikumene, the inhabited world, the civilized world, not the world as a cosmos or as a science thing, but as a people thing. And here they are present, present active indicative third plural. Verse 7, whom let's see, whom Jason has received. Jason is the subject here. Those whom, relative pronoun, relative clause, Jason has received. You see the delta got a little beside itself. So this is a perfect of hupodekomai or something like that. Whom Jason has received. And these all do, praso, they do oppose to the dogmas of Caesar. So these people are their actions, their life is, their practices are in opposition to the decrees of Caesar. And here's how. Saying a different king to be Jesus. So these people are saying that Jesus is Lord rather than Caesar, and that goes against imperial policy. And, maybe there was some truth to that, probably more truth to that than was convenient for Jason, although he's a heavenly king, and certainly most people thought the gods were greater than Caesar. So I don't know, they might have had an out, but basically there was I do think there was a certain subversiveness to the Christian message. So, it's not, it's understandable that they would have opposition. Verse 8, and they stirred up Tarasso, C is the key to hidden sigma alpha is aorist, nu is third plural, so there's the augment, it's an aorist active indicative third plural from Tarasso. And they stirred up the crowd and the politarchs hearing these things. Present active participle, accusative masculine plural. Article never lies, accusative masculine plural. Verse 9, and having taken the sufficient amount. So they hurt Jason here. Lobbing you and aorist, participle, non-masculine plural. And having taken the sufficient amount from Jason and the rest, they released them. Sigma alpha, aorist. Nu is third plural. Okay, so Paul and Silas somehow get out of being put to death by a crowd, but Jason and some others have to pay for it. And so Paul basically will get out of Dodge pretty quick here. And that's where we'll go, Lord willing, tomorrow.